Hello and welcome. You are watching Business Today TV with me, Neetu Chandra Sharma. Asia Healthcare Holdings is planning to expand its portfolio and invest a staggering $400 to $500 million in single specialty healthcare businesses over the next 5 years. I have got an opportunity to speak with Mr. Vishal Bali, Executive Chairman at Asia Healthcare Holdings, to discuss the company's ambitious plans. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Bali, today. The investment plans in single specialty healthcare businesses is quite impressive. Can you tell us more about this expansion strategy?
Yes, Sunita. Also, there is another. So, ophthalmology was one. As you know, that is an investment that we made direct through TPG Growth and not through AHH, which is in Dr. Agarwal's, which is the largest eye care chain in the country. So if we look at within our fold, we have done actually 4 specialties already. We did cancer, we did mother and child, we have done IVF, we have done through the TPG growth ecosystem, we have done ophthalmology. A couple of areas which look, which again fit very well into the economics of a standalone single specialty box. One is gastroenterology. Because there, whether it's outpatient gastroenterology or inpatient gastroenterology, it's like a self-served specialty in itself, which transits from outpatient GI to inpatient work, particularly around the minimally invasive surgical work that happens today. That is one. We are excited by the prospects of urology and nephrology because there again, these are 2 specialties that function well together. We've been looking at the right opportunity in the pathology diagnostic space. Because we believe that now the large ecosystem that we run at AHH, having our own pathology services company also as a part of this whole ecosystem will power us a lot more. If we have our own enterprise in that space. So these are a couple of areas. So Nitu, the thing is also that not every specialty actually falls under the single specialty box.
That's a wide range of specialties, Mr. Bali. Can you also explain the rationale behind these specific areas of focus?
As I said, that in that space, we see a massive gap in neonatology around the country, right? Because childbirth does not stop only with the mother. Childbirth continues with the newborn. And newborn mortality in this country is significantly high. So if we have to reduce newborn mortality in this country, you need good neonatal care along with good obstetrics care and good gynec care in the tier 2 cities around the country too. So I see a big opportunity and a white space there, which can be fulfilled by players like Motherhood. And that is exactly what we are doing, through Motherhood in terms of using technology, using clinical acumen, using infrastructure, creating a standardized box model, which has all services built in, and not just only birthing. So we have now already invested close to about $200 million in AHH. And this has happened over 5 years' time. So if I were to put a lens on the next 5 years, I would say that this could double up, one. And because I think what AHH sees is a big demand-supply gap on the single specialty healthcare enterprises in this country. Where we see coming in is it's not just about investing behind companies, because I think what healthcare also needs is very deep execution. And that execution comes with years and years of operating experience. So I think that's really what we believe we can offer besides the capital that we put behind these companies. Until now, the growth track that AHH has, I see no reason as to why we would not double up this investment over the next 5-6 years.
Going forward, I would also like to understand from you, what are the growth projections for the coming fiscal?
Yeah, so as far as AHH is concerned, we've been consistently growing at about 30-40% a year. This year or FY24, we should be in the zip code of about 175 to 185 million US dollars of revenue, with a margin of almost about 20% between our current companies. And then we have others which will come on board. So from that perspective, I think, one, we see the opportunity in FY24 of bringing some more specialties on the AHH platform. one or two more companies, which should ideally come into the AHH platform. Our companies on an organic basis continue to do very well. That is both Motherhood and Nova. Motherhood is even now in the first 2 months of the FY24 fiscal year is showing a growth of about 36-37%. Nova is growing 42% on the revenue side and on the back of a lot of growth that we enabled on the back of the companies over the last 2-3 years. So I see that to be consistently maintained.
Evident that Asia Healthcare Holdings is poised for significant growth in the healthcare sector. But what potential do you see in these segments?
At the overall ecosystem level, Neetu, and also at the sectoral level, I see the big opportunity of evolving markets in this country. As I said, that the phase one of healthcare in this country happened in the metros and the tier one cities. Expansion of healthcare delivery ecosystems is now going to happen in the tier two cities. We have seen some selective tier two cities where growth has happened, but we will see more and more of those, as the development and infrastructure grows in many of these cities. So I would say akin to what is happening in the aviation sector today and the number of new airports that are coming up in this country is a quasi-example of how these cities are evolving so quickly. And therefore, as infrastructure begins to expand and grow in many of these cities, and I think more importantly, COVID has shown us that as people went back into their homes, many of them are not even coming back to the large metro cities. So there is a reverse migration also, which has begun to happen, where people are leaving bigger cities and going back into the tier two cities because they see the same quality of infrastructure which they saw in tier one cities many, many years back. So I think healthcare evolution will now happen around the tier two cities in this country. And that will be worth a watch because that's also where clinical talent is migrating today. So from the bigger cities, a lot of the clinical talent which is coming out are the clinicians who are within large groups, but are number twos and number threes. They all want to go back to their origins and start setting up their practices over there. So we are seeing migration of talent. We are seeing migration of capital. We're seeing migration of infrastructure, all happening in the tier two cities. So I think that's the next phase of evolution for healthcare in India. And again, as I said right in the beginning, I see private equity continuing to power the growth of the Indian healthcare ecosystem and the Indian healthcare sector. We'll see a couple of more $1 billion getting invested this year and the next 1 or 2 years in the entire healthcare sector.
That was Mr. Vishal Bali in an exclusive interview with Business Today. It is exciting to see their plans for expansion and investment in single-speciality healthcare business. We will continue to follow their progress closely. Till then, stay tuned.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.